SMGs are one of my favourite weapon types when it comes to using them inside of PvE. There are a lot of good SMGs like the Lost SMG, Extraordinary Rendition, and so on. But with the Overload SMG mod returning in Destiny 2 Witch Queen, what are the best SMGs to get now and have ready for Season 16? We'll get to that very shortly, but first this video is being sponsored by Aware. They sell cheap Destiny 2 Silver and you can get it even cheaper with my code DIVIDE for a cheeky discount. Now that's all out of the way, let's make a start. Now when it comes to PvE, there are only two main SMGs you should be using, Extraordinary Rendition in the Kinetic slot, and Lost SMG in the Energy. And then with PvP, Multimic in your Kinetic and Shayera's Wrath in your Energy. Now don't get me wrong, every SMG is pretty unique and has a value to a certain level, and everyone has their own preference when it comes to using SMGs. Like for me, I like Death Adder, but its current usage level across all Guardians stands at around 0.25%, which is pretty low, but to me it's a really good SMG for endgame PvE. So the very first SMG on the list here is, well, one of my favourites, Extraordinary Rendition. This is one of the most used kinetic SMGs in the game during Season 15. It is a 750 kinetic SMG with a short mag, so it burns through your ammo quickly, which is why I recommend a good perk like Subsistence or Overflow to bring that mag back up when killing enemies, along with a damage or reload perk for your second trait. One of the best SMGs in the game for PvE, and I strongly recommend getting one if you can. You can get it from the Battlegrounds activity or by focusing them from Season of the Chosen focused Umbral Engrams. Next up we have the Lost SMG. This is by far the best SMG in the game for PvE, as well as being the most used one. This is a 750 but sits in the energy slot, dealing arc damage with slightly more ammo and overall DPS. This is one of my favourite SMGs in the game, which I'll be using a lot next season. It has quite a few good rolls that it can roll with, in addition to having the ability to generate Warmind cells. Now I know Warmind cells aren't meta at the moment since the great Warmind nerf, but this weapon itself is definitely worth having. You can get this one from the CQC focused Umbral Engram at the helm, and I believe Gunsmith can also sell it to you, so definitely get one if you haven't already. The third SMG on the list is the Shayera's Wrath. This is a Trials SMG and this thing destroys. To me it's more of a mixed PvE and PvP weapon, so it's pretty effective in both areas. It sits in the energy slot as a 600 RPM Void SMG, and the only way to get it is by playing Trials. So if you're not a PvP player, then you're best having the Lost SMG instead. Although you'll use the Lost more in PvE and the Shayera's Wrath more in PvP. The rules on this thing are pretty good, but again, it's more of a PvP weapon. Next we have Death Adder. Now if anything comes close to that feel of Recluse, it's definitely this one. It's a 900 RPM SMG like the Recluse, but it's a solo weapon instead of Void. It's pretty effective in all types of PvE content, but I wouldn't take this over the Lost SMG, but it is an option to you if you don't have anything else. You can get the Death Adder currently from the Prophecy dungeon, which is free for all players. Escape Velocity is next. This is a random well drop weapon that you can find from Legendary Engrams, or I believe Gunsmith at the tower. This is another kinetic weapon, 900 rounds per minute, that can roll with Overflow into Rounded. Definitely a good PvE SMG, although if I personally had to choose what my kinetic SMG would be, it would be the Extraordinary Rendition over this one. Friction Fire is another SMG that's pretty good in PvE. You can get this one from the Wrathborn hunts from Season of the Hunt or Season 12. It is a pretty old weapon that doesn't get used as much as a lot of the other ones, but again, definitely worth having if you don't have any of the other options or you dislike some of the other SMGs. It is a 600 RPM kinetic SMG. The last SMG on the list here is the Multimic CCX. Now this is more of a PvP weapon and should ideally be used more in PvP than PvE. It is a kinetic 900 rounds per minute submachine gun that you can get from the Iron Banner, but it's another choice for you if you're restricted with certain weapons due to not having the related seasons to obtain them. So in terms of what SMG to use for PvP, you want to go with the Multimic or the Shayera's Wrath, and for PvE, you want to go with the Extraordinary Rendition, Escape Velocity, or Lost SMG. Those are my favourites and in my opinion, the best SMGs in the game. Now there are other SMGs like Cold Front, Serum Seraph, Mida Mini Tool, and a load of others which are also good options, but these are more towards the bottom of the list in the current meta, so I'd personally not use them over these listed. Now if it's not SMGs you're after to stopping those overload champions, your only other option to stopping them will be to use auto rifles. See the video on screen if you want to check that out, otherwise I'll see you guys soon for the next video as we head closer to the Witch Queen. Peace out.